Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Janet Perez coming to you with the Painted Saguaro Art and Decor and joining Paint Couture to show you how I took this beautiful old headboard and turned it into this using Paint Couture paints and Whimsykel Decoupage paper. So sit back and watch me as I take you on the journey of how I took this piece that had been sitting in a barn for literally decades and made it into something beautiful that someone is going to love in their guest room or a special room in their home someday soon, hopefully. So the back of this piece, these panels are removable, thank goodness. And you can see me here, I'm removing the screws that are old and rusty so that I can get the boards off and decoupage them. And this piece was, I wish it was in good shape and I could have just stripped it and cleaned it up, but it was in really, really bad shape. So I am cleaning it and cleaning it and cleaning it some more. I used bleach and water, and then I used some crud cutter, and then I used some vinegar water to clean all of the residual bleach and crud cutter off. Here you can see I'm using a paint scraper actually to get some of the gunk off. I mean, there was just layers of dirt and mud, and I don't even want to think about some of the things that were on this. Lots and lots of gunk, lots of goo. There was so much stuff on this. I don't, ugh. But I can tell you that they are completely dirt and grime and gook free now. So I spent hours rebuilding and cleaning these pieces because there is a headboard and a footboard. And I've also made some new side rails for this piece as well. It is a full-size bed, 54 inches wide by 75 inches long, and it is so beautiful. You're going to love it when it's done. So hopefully you'll be able to follow along with me. So these again are the panels that go into the insert, and here they are dry, and I am using Arctic White, which is a mineral paint by Paint Couture, for my backdrop of my decoupage paper. You generally want to use a white backdrop for your decoupage so that you get the true colors coming through on your decoupage paper. Sometimes if you want a really dark effect on your decoupage, you can put a darker color behind them, but I always like those colors to pop. So the paint is dry. I let it set overnight, and here's my decoupage paper. It is called Baroque Patina by Whimsykel Designs, and it is so beautiful. And the colors from this paper are what I use to drive my inspiration for this entire bed. You can see there I spritzed the back of it with my mister bottle to get the wrinkles out, and now I'm laying it down and I'm using some saran wrap to get the wrinkles out, and I'm using my Extreme Guard Flat Topcoat as my decoupage medium. It works beautifully to adhere the paper to the board, and then I use that saran wrap, and as you can see I've got sort of a spreader there. It's one of the spreaders that you can get on Amazon with the felt edge on it. You want to be really gentle with your paper, of course, but using the saran wrap and that felt lined spreader works beautifully when you're laying your paper down. And I like using a top coat when I'm putting down decoupage paper because it's kind of forgiving. You can, as you'll see me do several times, you can lift the paper up gently and lay it back down if you get a wrinkle that you want to kind of lift and relay down. But you can see I'm working from the middle and working my way up and out. And that's the important part when you're decoupaging, is up and out. and being very gentle and taking your time. Remember, this is 4 times the speed of what I actually did here. So it may look like I'm doing this really quick, but I'm taking my time so that I get no wrinkles. I'm making sure that I get that top coat coverage, not too thick, not too thin, and really even. I don't want any globs under it. I don't want any holidays or missed spots. I want to make sure that I get complete, even coverage underneath that paper so that it adheres and I don't get any bubbles, because that's typically why you will get bubbles under your paper, is if you miss a spot by not getting your decoupage medium under the paper, or if you get it too thick and it will kind of bubble up under there where it's not able to lay down flat on your board. So here I'm using the saran wrap and just sort of gently pressing out any of the wrinkles that are there. And you just, again, take your time with this. If you've never decoupaged before, I recommend that you possibly start on just a small, like 8x10 board, and maybe use gift wrap paper, Christmas gift wrap paper, or something to practice with, something that isn't an investment for you, just so that you can kind of get a feel for how to do it and what technique works best for you. I know there's a lot of different artists out there that have a lot of different techniques. I've tried probably every technique out there, and this is the one that works best for me. So I'm just wrapping up this decoupage. I will sand off the edges and make them smooth and flush to the edge of the board, pressing down to make sure that it's all adhered perfectly, and then we're all set with the decoupage. I've done both panels, so they're done. Here is the front of that piece, and as you can see, it is grungy, grimy, and so more cleaning ahead. Bleach water to get the moldy grunge off of there. Again, dirty. This is the iFlex scroll number IFW2855, and I've got little red lines there of where I cut it with a razor blade. And this is sort of the main part of one of those scrolls. It's a 2-piece scroll, so they're mirrored images of each other. There was originally an applique on this piece that I had to scrape the glue off of because they were missing. So I'm using parts of this iFlex mold or scroll on this, and just gluing them on. I'm using clamps to hold them on there. I'm using bits on each side of this and clamping them on after using my Tight Bond glue, wood glue. And I'm using a little silicone stir stick as my spreader. And then I'll show you in a second, I use the other parts of that scroll because there were pieces missing on the top center mold. Those scroll pieces on all 4 corners of that are all pieces from that iFlex mold that I literally glued on here. And once this piece is done, you cannot tell that those are not original to this headboard. Also, you'll see me, I was pouring bottled water into my mister bottle. Always use bottled water when you're using water, either blending into your paint or spraying onto your piece, so you don't get funk in your paint or you don't get mineral deposits on your piece. Just FYI. So this is opal green, and I'm going to paint the entire piece with the opal green. It's a beautiful, as you can see, sort of a dark bluish green. I love this color. It's sort of a teal green, I want to say. And of course, I let those appliques dry completely before I started doing this. And so the entire headboard and footboard will get this color painted on them. And once I get this done, you'll see what I'm going to do next. I'm going to grab the paint color Sophia, which is another mineral paint color, and I'm just sort of stippling that over and blending it in with the opal green to sort of give it a mottled effect on the, as sort of a secondary base coat, I want to say, because this definitely isn't the final finish on this piece, but it will give it a second layer of depth. And obviously I wanted to highlight these raised pieces on this headboard, but then as I started to paint them that Sophia blue, I thought they looked like eyebrows and they looked a little funky, so then I wanted to soften them up or bring them back down a little bit, so I had to play with those quite a bit to make them not look like eyebrows anymore. So you'll see me work on those quite a bit. But I'm just stippling and working with that opal green and that Sophia blue to create this mottled look. And the reason I didn't paint that board along the bottom there at this juncture is because I needed to rebuild the structure of that. This entire piece was essentially rebuilt from the ground up. It's about 150 years old, and everything about this piece needed to be rebuilt as I went through it. So I had to shore up the strength of that bottom board before I painted it. So that's why it wasn't painted at this point, but I do paint it later on. So once I get this base coat, secondary base coat done, I'm going to grab some Espresso milk paint, some Madagascar Mocha, some Firelight, some Coral Passion, and some iron oxide. And I'm going to just start playing with colors and pulling all of those colors in and blending them on this piece. And you won't really be able to see me doing it too much because my head is in the way quite a bit, and I apologize. And on my last video that I did for you guys, I mixed some of the Madagascar Mocha, the Firelight, and the iron oxide liquid pigment, and I made this really beautiful rust color. And I did that this time in order to use that rust color on this piece because there was a lot of rust in that decoupage paper, if you'll recall, and you'll see it again towards the end here. But and then with that Sophia up at the top there, which is that light blue. I love this blue. It's honestly the first time I've ever used the Sophia color. I'm almost dry brushing it over the trim on this, and I also use it on the posts because this is sort of a 4-poster bed, and I wanted it to look very rustic and very sort of old worldy, so I don't put a very heavy coat on, and you can see the wood peeking through it, and it looks really pretty. So you can see here at the top, I've got that rust color. I've got some of the Sophia worked into, some drips. I've got the Espresso coming down from that beautiful carved piece on the top of the headboard, and I'm kind of working it down on the sides and working it up from the bottom. That's the Coral Passion that I'm kind of pulling in from the bottom upward, along with the rust color that I created out of the Madagascar Mocha and the Firelight with a little bit of the iron oxide mixed in. And I'm just kind of working it around in random spots to create sort of a I want this really kind of old Gothic-y, worn look on this piece. Once I get all of this finished, then I paint the posts in the Sophia, like I said. I seal everything with the Extreme Guard Flat Topcoat because I want absolutely no sheen on this. And I do basically the same effect on the footboard. I added new rails to it for the side rails, but painted them to have the same look on them. And reattached the panels to the headboard. I also added a little bit of espresso mixed in with some clear glaze just in certain areas to bring out a little more detail, to add some shadowing to the piece. And I didn't show that on film because I sort of did it after I got it staged and set up. This piece is a beast and it's super heavy because it is solid mass wood. So moving it around is not easy once everything's put back together. But here is the staged photos that I took, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. What do you guys think? I'm happy that you are here. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. This is Janet Perez with the Painted Saguaro.